Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts with breaking news.
That breaking news this morning, one person is in the hospital after an overnight cutting. This happened near 22nd and St. Mary's. Authorities say one person was hospitalized with non-life-threatening injuries. So far, no word about any arrests. Stick with First Alert 6 as we work to learn more. In the meantime, it is good to have you with us on this Tuesday. I'm Erin Hartley.
I'm Cerise Cole, along with Jade Stephens. She came back. We didn't run her away here for another day.
I'm here.
Of course, meteorologist Jared, the man of the hour, because listen, it is so cold out there. I mean, winter is making a comeback. We weren't used to it because of the 50s, and now it's back with a vengeance.
58, 43 around midnight yesterday, and now we're in the low teens. Quite the change over the last couple of days.
Yeah.
And so you want to dress warm out the door. It's going to be kind of a cold day in general. This is probably the best thing you'll see all day as far as weather's concerned. It's a beautiful sunrise that we've got, and it kind of belies what it feels like as you step out the door. 10 degrees is where we're at, and we've got a north wind on top of that, making it feel like it's below zero. Everybody with that wind chill having fallen under zero as we start the day off. So again, the winter coat, the hat, the gloves, it's all going to be necessary as we start things off. And we've got the cloud cover pushing in. We didn't have that for a little bit. That's how the temperatures dropped as far as they did. And as that continues to push in, we're going to struggle to warm things up as the day goes on. There you can see as we're getting toward the middle of the day, we're getting our way into the low 20s, and then we'll just kind of sputter upward a little bit. Managed to get into the upper 20s for our temps at their peak today. But keep in mind that comes with a lot of cloud cover, and it's going to come with a bit of a breeze. So as we reach that peak there in the upper 20s, it's going to feel probably about 5 to 10 degrees colder than that. So definitely a shock to the system for us. There's what the wind does. So we continue to get improvement on that through the rest of the day. It's more of a northeast breeze. A lot of times when you add cloud cover and a northeast breeze together, that equals a real struggle to get the temperatures to move upward. And that's why I expect to take place for us as we head through today. There's the wind chills. So we start things off below zero. We're going to be looking at peaking into the upper teens this afternoon. It's not great out there. And tomorrow doesn't look a whole lot better, unfortunately. We are looking at a similar kind of day, but add in the chance for some freezing drizzle in the middle of the day. So let's take a look at that a little bit more in depth. The good news with that is it looks like it falls in between our commute. So we should get to the office with no problem, and we should be wrapping it up before we get to the evening drive. Temps peak about 30 degrees, so as anything that does falls, it would be freezing. Not a lot of moisture with this, and it looks like the best chance to try to get any of that to develop and freeze in spots would be south of the metro, but we still have to watch things further to the north too. And sometimes these are the situations that even get a little bit more dangerous because you're driving and you don't notice any issues, and then you come across the slick spot. So extra caution going to be a good idea to utilize as we head through the late morning tomorrow into the early afternoon. There you can see that starts to push its way off to the east. And if you're heading further to the east in Iowa, you'll have more issues with that freezing drizzle in that direction. As far as what we end up with here, a couple spots where we get some glazing to take place. And again, I think the best chance is south and east of the metro for that to happen. So we'll continue to watch that, keep a close eye on that. But of course, that is going to be a big headline that we end up seeing here as we go through the next 48 hours.
Yeah, it is. Then beyond that, any more chances for any potential precipitation?
Yeah, we certainly could use some.
Sure.
Maybe not in the form of freezing drizzle. How about that? That would be some good news.
That'd be nice.
But yeah, we are looking at a couple of small chances. Nothing major, but let me show you what I'm talking about. The good news is once we get beyond our day for our Wednesday, temperatures get better. We're in the low 40s Thursday and Friday. We take a bit of a step back Saturday. That actually lines up with some flurries that will be making our way through the area, but that's all that is some flurries in the morning hours. When we flip to the 10-day forecast, you're going to notice we see 30s for highs for Saturday and Sunday, and then as we make our way into next week, this is where things get a little bit more interesting. We're starting to see some signs of bringing some snow into the equation, and particularly Tuesday stands out as a day where we could be looking at some of that being around. Still some timing issues to figure out, but first alert to that being the next potential for snow lovers to get what they've been waiting for there as we get into Tuesday. You'll also notice there temps are a little cooler there, trending toward highs in the 20s as we make our way into the end of the 10-day forecast. So here we go. We're looking at things getting more and more winter-like. Maybe Phil was onto something.
Yeah, I think so. I felt like February. I kept saying, I'm like, we're going to get hit in February because January was just too mild, too nice.
Yep. Fall, spring, #1 is over. Here we are. We're into winter.
We'll probably get a few more.
Speaking of winter, there's actually some slippery conditions out there because of a crash you're keeping track of.
Yeah, that's right. A car hit a fire hydrant, and now we're looking at some water on the roadway. This area, it's 42nd and Harrison Street. So if you typically travel in that area, I do want to let you know, it might be a good idea to avoid it, or if you have to absolutely go through it, make sure to use caution. This is mainly in the westbound lanes on Harrison, but seeing a lot of slowdowns. Of course, this is affecting the entire intersection here, so we're seeing a lot of northbound slowdowns on 42nd Street, so we're definitely going to be keeping a close eye on this situation, and of course make sure to be careful as you move through that. And taking a wide view of the area, besides that, not seeing a lot of major issues as we're starting off the day, so that's some good news for you. But a few construction projects you should probably know about as you start off your day. Harney Street Bridge closed yesterday. This is not temporary. This is actually through really the end of the year, between 29th and 28th on Harney. This bridge is closed for reconstruction to be able to support the streetcar. If you need an alternate route, I'd recommend using Douglas or Leavenworth if you're traveling around the Midtown area. Now, Farnham eastbound, very close to this, is also closed, 33rd to Turner. This is scheduled for 2 months, also for streetcar work. Also happening on Farnham between 14th and 15th, we're going to see lane restrictions here, but it's only scheduled for a couple of weeks. Taking a look here now at 680, if you frequently travel this, especially at nighttime, you're going to want to listen to this. So stretching all the way from L Street up to 75 Highway, we're going to be seeing overnight lane and ramp closures due to this project going on, but also we could see some various lane restrictions during the daytime too. This project is going to allow some more lighting, some work on the lighting for the roadway, so overall it's going to be a good project, but you may see some various closures as you're traveling about. And one more thing to give you a first alert to for this morning, road closure 31st Avenue. This is near Farnham, that stretch that's also closed. It'll be closed for 1 week due to some utility work. So make sure 42nd and Harrison once again is that area that I would recommend avoiding this week. However, or for this morning, I should say. But besides that, things are moving along pretty well.
All right, Jade, thank you so much. News now, we've got new details on breaking news we brought to you last night. Our photographer on the scene of an apartment complex says it has been put out. Crews were called here to 108th and Ford around 2:30 yesterday. Omaha fire officials say all units were evacuated at the High Point Apartments, formerly known as Legacy Crossing. The Salvation Army and Red Cross were on scene to help those displaced. Damage is estimated at $1.5 million. Thankfully, there are no injuries to report.
In the meantime, a brand new update this morning on a metro crash. We've learned now the driver involved has died. Omaha police say 22-year-old Anthony Doherty was northbound on 30th near Ellison when he veered off the road and hit a pole. There was a brief power outage in that area after that crash. Doherty passed away the next day at the hospital.
Well, after the safety desk with our Maria Kate. And Maria, a vegetable many of us have in our fridge, I know I do, is being recalled today.
Yes, I know. You want to listen up to this because it was sold at Walmart, so pretty commonplace where people get their groceries. You might remember us first alerting you, and this is the Braga Fresh broccoli recall. It started in late December, and that's when we first told you about it. But now the USDA is updating its ruling to the most serious category for this recall. The FDA is upgrading it to a Class 1, and the agency says that means there is a higher risk of having any serious health consequences if you eat it or even death. So at first this was a voluntary recall. It's for the Market Side brand for the washed and ready to eat 12-ounce bags. And the broccoli has a best by date of December 10th of 2024. Again, sold at Walmart stores in 20 different states. If you do have these maybe in your freezer, the FDA says you need to throw it away immediately. It is not safe to have around. But luckily fortunately, there haven't been any illnesses or any deaths from this.
That's the good news. And you have some more information about our health, and it's just that we need to be aware of.
I know, this is a pretty interesting study that I think most of us might not think about. There are these things called nanoplastics. They can really be found anywhere. They're in the air, they're in the ocean, maybe in their food. But now there is a new study that's coming out that is showing that they might be in some unwanted places as well in our bodies. These tools are so small you can't even see them without having special tools themselves. And again, they're showing up in an unexpected place, people's brains. So this data is coming from Nature Medicine, and it shows human brain samples contain an entire plastic spoon's worth of these nanoplastics. So you think about something that you would eat with, and that many of these nanoplastics are living inside of our brains. So researchers studied human brain samples, and they collected them in autopsies from 2024 and 2016. They found that the 2024 brains had about 50% more microplastics than the ones from 8 years before. And scientists say that these can be really harmful to human health at every single stage. So not really some good news there, but right now they don't know if the particles are entering and leaving people's brains or if they might sit in there and maybe cause some diseases too.
Oh my, and you think of that plastic spoon,
I
that's
know.
a lot.
It's a big thing.
Oh, now you're going to be thinking about that all day.
Yes.
All right, Maria Kate at the Safety Desk this morning. Thank you. We're going to be right back. Stay with us.
All right, the time now 7:14 on this Tuesday morning. Sun finally starting to come up on this Tuesday. After a nice stretch of days in the 50s, now starting to make our slow descent down. Going to be a cold afternoon, Jarrett.
Yeah, Mother Nature saying, hey, that was fun. I gave you a little bit of something. All right, here's the reality check.
Now we're back.
It's early February, and we're going to make it feel like it. So here's what you can expect. We go through the rest of the day. Today, we're talking about 20s for our highs and a lot of cloud cover that's going to be in place as well. That sunshine you saw there, maybe a little bit of that in the first couple of hours, but I expect most of the day ends up with pretty cloudy sky, and especially by the afternoon. It'll be one of those kind of like gray slate kind of days where we have that in place. We have the temperatures colder, and then you've also got a little bit of a breeze. Now that does improve by the afternoon, so we're talking some gusts that are up around 10 miles per hour, so that will get better. It's still going to be noticeable though, and with those other factors taken into account, the best it feels like is the upper teens this afternoon. So keep that in mind as you're preparing to head out, that you're going to need to dress warm and account for that being the case. Tomorrow doesn't change a whole lot either. We'll have a lot of cloud cover. We'll have temperatures that get to about 30 for our high. We add in some of that spotty freezing drizzle too. So here's how it's playing out. We're looking at the best chances right in the middle of the day. So maybe tomorrow, if you normally run out and get lunch, it might be a good idea to bring your lunch with you in the morning. Take that approach with it just to be safe. And that's especially true if you're in places like Nebraska City, Shenandoah, as you get closer to Rockport. I think those are the places where we have a higher chance to get some glazing to take place out of this. Still can't say it won't happen in the metro though, in spots. It's going to be one of those patchy kind of situations with how this takes place. Starts around 9 a.m. or so. Looks like it should be departing by about 4 p.m. and we'll have to watch it, see if we have any further issues by the evening commute. I think we'll be improving at that point, but a little extra caution, never a bad idea in these kind of situations. There you can see what we're expecting as far as this situation goes. Not the only precip in the forecast. We do have the chance for a few flurries by the time we get to our Saturday morning, but I want to give you a peek at how things are looking long term. And as we get toward the beginning of next week, science have really started to focus in on at least a window where we bring some snow into the picture. There's one model depiction. You can see, for once, we're actually looking like we have snow coming through the area. Another model, kind of a similar case where we are bringing that into the area. Now, this lines up a little bit more with how our winter has played out. You can see the darker colors indicating the heavier snow off to the south, which is how a lot of this winter has played out. And then we end up getting clipped. So we'll see if this is how things end up, or if the more broad brush approach is where we land with how things go with the snow as we get into next week. And it has been kind of focused in a little bit more toward the Tuesday area. So we get through the next 5 days, we're talking about temperatures that are near average or a little above in the case of Thursday and Friday. And then we start bringing some of that snow into the picture.
Yeah, I know. I feel so bad for people who rely on snow for a living or a side hustle. So is this a trend? Do you think we'll be seeing more snow in the future?
You know, things are kind of pointing that direction. At least the conditions are favorable for having that take place. The pattern is busier. We're looking at temperatures as I go to the second half of the 10-day here, showing 20s for highs. So we're getting a little colder alongside that, and just in general, it just looks busier as we head into next week. And we've been showing this graphic some. Look at all the blue showing up, indicating the colder than average temperatures for most of the country. You have to head down toward Florida if you're looking to find the warmth that we've all been experiencing for a while. So here's where we're heading. We're looking at things generally looking colder than average. You start bringing in some of that precip chances. That's where you could get some of that snow to finally start to fall. Reminder, we've only had 1 inch fall in the metro, and we're now several days into February. So this is where things could start to change for us if the systems don't continue that path off to our south.
Nice.
We need it to change. Like we need this.
We need some moisture.
All right. Yes. Jared, thanks. In the meantime, Jade, you've been talking about this road closure at 42nd and Harrison. Kind of what's the update right now?
Yeah, so the biggest update is that it went from being not closed to closed. It has recently closed due to that ice starting to accumulate on the roadway. Again, another update, 42nd and Harrison, westbound lanes, there was a fire hydrant struck, and because temperatures are so cold right now, that water coming out of the fire hydrant is freezing on the roadway. A lot of slowdowns around the area too that are starting to pick up all 4 directions, but mainly the slowest is going to be in the westbound lane. So my advice would be, if you can avoid this area, I would absolutely do so, and try to find an alternate route as you head out this morning. But besides that, across the area, no major issues across the area.
All right, Jade, thank you. Well, a man accused of leading police on a chase is now facing a $75,000 bond.
Police say the chase ended when Savante Conover Drummond hit another car near 80th and West Center Road. Court documents say that Drummond was speeding at over 100 miles an hour during that chase. Authorities also say he drove without lights on, failed to stop at red lights. Police eventually found him hiding under a tree in a backyard. He's due back in court next month.
Happening today, a city council vote on a program that will allow the city to retain its police and fire chiefs for a few more years. The current deferred retirement option program allows them to exercise their option for 5 years. The mayor is proposing a second option that would allow them to agree to remain in their positions for an additional 3 to 5 years. And a reminder about an upcoming election for Millard Public Schools.
Yeah, the bond election is a week from today. If you're mailing your ballot, the U.S. Postal Service does recommend you drop it off by today. If you're dropping off your ballot at an election office or a drop box, the deadline to do so is 5 p.m. next Tuesday. We have a full list of drop box locations on our website. That's at firstalert6.com. Well, coming up, then, an important First Alert announcement.
Now find out what change is coming to the anchor desk when we come back.
Well, if you missed the announcement yesterday, longtime First Alert 6 anchor and the broadcasting icon, our John Nicely is going to retire.
That's right. He recently celebrated his 50th anniversary working in television. 40 of those years have been with First Alert 6. Can you imagine? 40 years in one place. Well, John has, and he's received numerous awards, including the Journalism Alumni Award of Excellence from the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. He will sign off from the First Alert 6 anchor desk Wednesday, March 16th, so we don't have much time left.
March 12th.
March 12th, yes. I don't know about you guys, but when I saw his email, because we found out last week, my heart just dropped. I was so surprised. I mean, I guess I knew eventually it would come, but I was just so surprised.
Like none of us knew for a long time. We found out very quickly as well.
Yeah, it was just kind of like a, we almost had the rug pulled out and it was the talk of the office.
Yes.
But it's just so happy for him.
Oh my God.
He's put in so much hard work and he's finally going to get to spend time with the family and enjoy the golf course.
He's been the face of this station, a leader of this station, and just such a nice guy too.
He really is.
He really is, and has that funny sense of humor that makes us all chuckle. But yeah, he's definitely going to be us. But we're all happy for him.
I think what's cool about John Nicely is that kind of what I hear from people who have grown up in this community is that like generations of people have watched him. So if you were like an adult in the 70s or 80s versus like if you were a kid in the 70s or 80s and now you're an adult versus like if you're about like our age and grew up in like the 90s or 2000s, like all these different kinds of people have gotten to watch him and like grown with him. I just think that's really cool.
And watch him do different things, because he started off as a sports guy for the competition, then got smart, came over here, but really, has done such a good job for us. We're just going to miss him, but we're happy.
It'll be fun to see what kind of surprise we'll have for him as far as like a party or a send-off goodbye.
Stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we don't know.
All right, everybody, thank you so much for joining us. We have to get ready for our update on the Today Show. You can watch it here on streaming or over the air.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Live from WOWT, First Alert 6 starts now.
Good Tuesday morning to you. It is 7:26. I'm Cerise Cole.
And I'm Erin Hartley. It's good to have you with us. We're getting an update about a road closure that Jade Steffens has been covering for us this morning. Jade, what do you have?
Yeah, right now we're looking at this intersection being closed. And what I'm talking about here, 42nd and Harrison, this happened mainly in the westbound lanes, but a fire hydrant was struck, causing the water to spill onto the roadway. And because temperatures are below freezing, that quickly turned into ice. So a very icy situation happening in this intersection. Again, 42nd and Harrison, seeing slowdowns in all directions. So if you can find an alternate route, if you frequently travel this area, I would recommend doing so. Now let's head over to Jarrett and get a check of that cold forecast.
It certainly is well below freezing. 10 our temperature, so any of that water going to stay ice here for a little bit. 13 is our wind speed. That means it's feeling like it's below zero as we start off our day, and that's everybody is in that boat with the cold. Our coldest morning that we've had in about a week and a half. We really warmed things up recently. Still seeing that wind. That will improve some as the rest of the day goes on, but still be present as we get toward the afternoon. So temperatures manage to claw their way to the upper 20s, but we'll also be looking at a lot of cloud cover overhead, especially as we get toward the afternoon. And with that breeze, that means it's going to feel like the upper teens at best for today. So dress warm if you're heading out. There you can see the wind chills that we end up with this afternoon. Tomorrow a similar day, but adds in some spotty freezing drizzle in the middle of the day. Watch for that as you head out and about, Erin.
Well, breaking news we've been following this morning. One person is in the hospital after an overnight cutting. This happened near 22nd and St. Mary's. Authorities say one person was taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries.
All right, everybody, it is 7:28. We're back with another update in about 25 minutes. We'll see you then.